Good morning, everybody. It's me, Mitch. And we're back to normal. Back to normal. The two most important things that have become so evident to me about our lifestyle, our carnivore lifestyle, that you have to wrap your mind around and prioritize as the two things that I've learned that it's taken me being on YouTube, doing carnivore, interacting with so many of you, not consciously gathering data, but hearing these things that eventually settle in and just become so obvious to me that in the middle of all the noise, of all the things that you need to consider and need to learn, and there's a lot of them. There's a lot of them when it comes to successfully doing this carnivore lifestyle. All the things that you need to learn and understand. These two things make the rest of it just pale in comparison. And if you just focus on and concentrate on these two things, your chances of succeeding are so much greater, so much greater. And your odds of falling into one of the traps and the pitfalls of failing for one reason or another will diminish. And if you're going to do this, if you're going to go to all the trouble to learn all of the different things you need to know just to execute this, just to make sure you know how to shop, you know how to cook, you know what to eat, what not to eat. And even if you don't take the time to learn the reasons why, which is helpful, these two things are going to, I think, once you get to a point where I have, being carnivore for 2 full years with no cheating, you'll look back and realize that what I'm going to say today, and yes, I'll get to the point, gotta build a suspense. What I'm going to say today may be the most important things that you may have heard at the beginning of your journey. And the two things, believe it or not, have nothing to do with the food or anything else. They are, number one, learning everything you can learn about carbohydrate addiction and how it controls you and why you're here right now. And you're here right now because more than likely this isn't the first time you've awakened and said, wow, I need to do something about my health and my weight. So you've been here before. And the fact that you're here now means, without a doubt, that you have never successfully figured out a way to find a lifestyle and a relationship with food that you can sustain. And the reason you failed is the addiction. And you have to come to terms with that and learn everything you can about it. The second thing that you need to be concerned about, which I think is the most important thing, which is something that I recently elevated to this level of importance, and I talked about it on my morning coffee video this morning, and that's community and the support, the necessary support, the mandatory moral the moral support that you need to make sure that you don't fall into so many of the traps, because you know you're not alone in this. And I talked about that this morning. That doesn't mean you have to join a private community. That doesn't mean anything like that. This is not a pitch to get you to join my private community. You don't need to do that. It's great if you want to. But when I say community, there's community just in the comments and chats on my live streams that are public for everybody. And that's the community I'm talking about. And what that community does for you, whether you consciously realize it or not, is that community takes away that feeling that you're alone, that it's you against the world. And what a world it is that you're against. You're against the world where virtually every force in nature, every bit of the corruption that has set in over the last 50, 60, 70 years in the medical, food, and drug businesses, the things that have, excuse me, I'll get back to that, but excuse me, while I beat my eggs. Thank you. The thing that makes you feel alone is everything out there, every bit of mainstream news, every bit of phony studies, doctors who still think that you should be eating 11 servings of frigging poisonous grains every day and 5 servings of fruits and oxalate-laden vegetables every day. That you should avoid all red meat. And if you must eat meat, certainly don't eat any animal fat. You must be low fat. And if you're going to eat meat, for God's sakes, avoid that red meat. Make sure you eat only the leanest of chicken breasts. And for God's sakes, don't eat more than 2 ounces a day. We've all heard that for the rest of our life. And if you want to lose weight, you need to eat less and move more. You need to starve yourself, torture yourself, and work yourself to death. Everything, every bit of advice from both the diet and exercise standpoint that they give you is counterproductive and has created the problems that you now have. It's tough. It's tough to go against the mountainous amount of advice and propaganda that you're getting that is totally wrong. And it's so easy to question yourself. Am I doing the right thing? My cholesterol is high and everybody tells me that's going to kill me. I know I'm losing weight. I know I've never felt this good in my life. I know that all my other numbers are perfect, but that cholesterol, they want me to take statins, which in themselves add to the problems that we have, especially in the mental health area. So that's why the community, the sense of community is so very important, because there are many of us in this community, even though we represent a tiny fraction of 1% of the whole population, we are a community of people just like me that have solved all their health and weight problems. And even more importantly than that, solved the problem of their deadly relationship with food fueled by the addiction. And that's why I'm here to tell you this morning, as I cook my breakfast, something I haven't done for you in quite a while, that those two things, those two factors, understand and learn that treating your addiction is at the top of the list, and learn that being part of a community, making friends in that community and acquaintances, people that you can share your experiences with, finding people that have had identical experiences to you, are fighting the same conditions, how and what they did and how carnivore has helped them, will do nothing but get your head in exactly the right place so you recognize the BS when you hear it. You have the guts and the courage to call your doctor an idiot. You'll know which studies to recommend that he read. And you'll know that the studies that he's basing his advice on are all nonsense and nothing but marketing propaganda from the food and the drug companies, who are making fortunes on the health and the backs. I don't even want to call them their customers. I want to call them their victims, because that's what we are. If you have to sit in your doctor's office multiple times a week, if you have to sit in a pharmacy waiting room waiting for your one of 15 prescriptions to be filled, if you have to sit in laboratories getting blood test after blood test, if you have to keep jabbing yourself with insulin, you, my friend, are not a sick person. You are the victim of a crime with no recourse, because the whole establishment that has put you there are criminals themselves. You'll value the community. Oh, look at that. Oh my God, does that look good? That's still my favorite sound in the world. Sizzling bacon. And this breakfast that I'm making here is at least 50% of my sustenance. And no matter how much of it I eat, I cannot feel bad. I cannot stuff myself. I cannot gain an ounce, nor do I want to. I am right now at what my body thinks is the perfect weight for me. And if any of you think I don't have the stamina for it, just look at what I went through this past week. So, I don't think there's any need to make this video any longer. I'm going to finish cooking my breakfast and enjoy it. It's 11 o'clock now, and this is the time of day I usually eat my first meal, followed by my second meal, which will be maybe 3 o'clock, 3:30. And for my second meal, I have a choice between a nice little New York strip steak over here or a pound of ground beef. And those have thawed out in the refrigerator overnight, and I'll decide. Doesn't really matter which one. Just, you know, every once in a while you're in the mood for this or that. But as far as food goes, I'm free from its grasp. It doesn't matter to me what I eat. I love this food that I eat. I never thought there was such a thing as not longing for or craving food. And if for some reason I couldn't eat this at this time at 11, or maybe I couldn't eat all day today, I'd be fine until tomorrow. This is the way we're supposed to live. Keep it in mind. Try to learn. Well, first thing you have to do is admit you're a carbohydrate addict. And then follow me while I try to explain to you why you're a carbohydrate addict. And even better yet, what I discovered is the way to overcome the addiction, successfully start the carnivore lifestyle, and stick to it. I know that that works now. I know that my theories work fine. Something I didn't know when I started this YouTube adventure over a year ago, of sharing some of what I figured out. But having heard from so many of you about, thank you, Mitch. This is the first time in my life that something actually worked for me. And how many of you have become long-term successful carnivores, never cheating, never even wanting to cheat? I know it works. And there's a good chance that if you take it seriously and understand the principles behind it, that it will work for you and you can finally be like Mitch, at least in that respect. So my friends, enjoy your meals. Thank you so much for being part of my community. I've told you how valuable that is to me. And with that being said, take the rest of the day off and eat meat.